You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now. I forgot to unmute us. Hello, hello.
All right.
How's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning, sunshine. On such a beautiful rainy day in the NYC.
Yeah,
Good morning, everyone. How's it going?
it's been pretty miserable here.
Tell
my
us how you really feel.
my allergies are really bad in the spring.
Yeah.
Even when it rains, they get worse when it rains.
Yeah, it's like he like sneezes like 10 times in a row.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
I think
God.
it's mold. It's like a mold allergy because when it rains, it gets that. And then like, I got allergies.
You got allergies.
got
What else? What else? Your ankle allergies. Talk about a pansy, people. Ah.
It's true.
You are a slight.
Well, I got to get that ankle surgery.
Yeah. You should.
Yeah.
You can't run. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
He's hobbling around, people.
I mean, I'm not hobbling anymore, but I can't exercise. Like, I can't really do anything.
Oh, no. I'm sure you've occupied it with other things.
I'll give you
such as
some
Monero.
push-ups, pull-ups, just upper body. And even that, I just don't really have the will because I can't do the other stuff. Like, I need to be able to do, like, squats.
This is your venting session.
Deadlifts.
Please continue, everyone.
But that's not happening. I don't even after the surgery. I mean, that's going to take a long time.
Yeah. It's going to take a bit, but it's okay. You'll chug through.
Yeah.
You'll get better.
Monero keeps me going.
Yes. It really does. He wakes
So
up
yeah, I kind of fell off the boat with the tipping though a little bit too.
Well, no, you kind of did it on Thursday on Cinco de Mayo.
But the reason I fell, and I mentioned this last time, is just because I don't.
Yeah, you don't really do anything.
I was forcing myself to go to Starbucks, get the
Yeah.
coffees, get the acai, but it's not like I intermittent fast. I don't eat all day. I don't eat till 5, 6
So I
o'clock.
guess you got to start
So I'm
eating.
forcing myself to become a consumer so I could go do tips. I mean, I love doing the tips, but I don't need to unnecessarily consume.
Yeah, that's true. But you did it Thursday at the Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
Your
because we
friends,
were
yeah.
out. We
Yeah,
went
yeah,
out.
we went out to
We went out.
dinner.
We went out to dinner. And yeah, sure. Yeah, convinced the guy.
Yeah, you did.
I
He
wouldn't
was very
say. I
excited.
wouldn't say.
Off the boat,
It
but
wasn't
like
a snap, but we got him.
awesome. That was good.
Right?
So,
He was cool.
he
You
was
spoke
cool.
to him.
Yeah,
I'll
he was
post that one.
excited.
It was good.
Yeah,
I
he was
got a little
excited
video of
about it. But I mean, at least you're doing it till I guess June 8th. I mean, that was like
No.
crazy
I'll pick it back up. Pick it back up. So I lost.
so he's
a
gonna
few
start
days.
eating, guys.
But that's the point. You got to be consistent. Never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Okay,
Keep
we
doing
get it. Anyways, okay. So hopefully other people out there are doing it because it's a
Yeah, I
great
need other
way.
people to jump out and do it and tweet. That will give me motivation. Got to keep it going.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I was like, all right, I'm gonna lead by example, and then nobody like I didn't.
Well, no, there were like 2 people, so don't feel that bad.
But I want to see tweets out there. Come on, guys.
Well, this-
Maybe
It's the
nobody's
Monero
consuming.
community.
Nobody's
They don't
out
like
consuming anymore. Everybody's just
or
at
they're
home.
doing it and they don't, feel like broadcasting it.
They
like
get
you do.
everything delivered. Nobody interacts in the real world anymore. I mean, we do. But
I'm
I think
sure
we're like
other
a
people
rarity.
do. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's the Monero community, so remember, they're very.
But Jill brought up a
secretive.
good point too. You could do it to people that are delivering you stuff too. Somebody's doing DoorDash or whatever, Uber Eats. Hook up the Uber Eats delivery guy with the Monero wallet.
Yeah,
Send 'em a
just throw
tip.
it out there. If they say no, okay, they say
Yeah.
no. But maybe the next time the
You're
person will be
changing
like,
lives when
"Hmm."
you do it. Like the guy that we tipped at this, he was so thrilled. right?
Yeah, he was. He was very excited about it.
He was like, "Thank you so much." He's like, I didn't know anything about crypto, and now I do.
Now he knows. Now he knows about Monero.
Whatever.
But yeah,
What
so
else we got?
we got the Monerotopia NYC. Looks like it's
June 8th. Yeah.
June 8th.
So it's going to be a
emission.
global tail emission extravaganza.
So if you're on New York, join the meetup group or
come on down.
Come on down.
We don't know the location though. We're going to figure that out. We're going to find a spot. Anybody out there that's, lives in New York that knows a good spot, obviously reach out to us, but we'll find something otherwise that will accept Monero all day. Some kind of restaurant, bar, maybe in Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens
or anywhere. Yeah. So should be
something
exciting.
Good, something central. So yeah, on June 8th, we'll have a spot. You guys come out if you're in New York, but the idea is we want to get other people in other locations. So if you're in another city and you never thrown a Monero, there's no real Monero meetup going on yet, get it started. See if you get one started.
Yeah. I mean, we got
if you're in a major city, you might, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You might get a couple of people to come out.
I mean, I think we have some, Chill, I think, is throwing one in Denver, Colorado. And then our Spores guy that
in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas, which is a big one. And I guess a few other.
We could maybe try to get somebody in Argentina. I was thinking to do it because there's a pretty big scene in Germany. We could get somebody over there.
Portugal. That would be
Portugal.
Nice. So yeah, I guess the whole point is we're trying to like live stream it, right? From different locations throughout the world. So
yeah, we could all once again, a lot of Monero people don't like coming out into the road, but you could still, go out. You don't have to be on camera.
That one person that
doesn't mind people that are at the meetup
being on camera. But yeah, so if you're in New York, join our meetup page. It's going to be co-hosted with Cake Wallet, Monero.com wallet. So we've been bringing back those those New York City meetup. They were always a lot of fun.
They are.
They were a lot of fun.
It's June 8th. And if you want to jump into the Monerotopia Telegram group, if you want to, throw your own or join ours and jump into that group anyway. We got a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
What else?
For the Monerotopia premiere videos, they've been a hit. We've been this week we had Arctic Mine in the live chat, Nam, and Luke Smith was so if you haven't checked out those videos, check them out.
People love Luke. He's got this cult following. I think I'm becoming one of his cult followers.
He's awesome.
Started listening to him quite a bit.
No, we had a good week. So, stay tuned for the upcoming ones because, we're trying to release them one by one. We have someone editing them.
She's doing an amazing job. We randomly found, she reached out to,
she reached out to us when we had that post about we needed help with editing videos, and she reached out.
We want to try to potentially get her on. We don't want to maybe put her in any
we'll see if she's interested in it. Yeah, but
we want to get her on
just
the
know
show.
She's doing a great job. She did our promo video. She's awesome. I love her.
We pay her in Monero. It's pretty quite cool.
Yeah.
She lives
we can't say where
I'm not gonna say where, but perhaps in a jurisdiction where I don't know, she might want to stay under the radar a little bit. But
just know she's
doing
an awesome
get
job,
her to come on, maybe even just anonymously and she could tell her story,
like her process.
Very nice, very sweet person.
So she's doing a great job.
Very talented.
As you can see, our premieres, our dramatic premieres, but we're glad we're editing them, putting the slides on. People really appreciate that, and we're trying to get all the speakers on live in the chat, which is fun too because they get to watch their video,
their
cool talk, and then people can chime in.
And it's great for us because I really didn't get to watch any.
I know.
I'd be running around, so now I'm sitting down watching all of them. I think I'm more excited than anybody else, and then get to sit there and watch. Then you can see the slides now because we put them in the video.
No one is as excited as you are.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
We should move fast because
we have Seth and then Bawdyanarchist who's going to do the price report. But I think Seth has limited time.
Yeah, he's limited on time. So
we'll jump on to the guest segment. So
let's do it.
Thank you guys for listening to our rant this morning. The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys. All righty.
Seth, what's going on,
Seth,
man?
How do you do?
Hi, guys. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Nice.
How's it going?
Doing pretty well. Trying no headphones and speakers today. So if there's echo, let me know. But
no, it's fine. Yeah, you're good.
You're
good.
Yeah, you're doing good. How's
thank y'all for doing this as always. Always great to have a different place for Monero community people to come together and love all the updates. I think y'all have been doing great work with the kind of slowly releasing all the videos from Monerotopia. It's a really, really interesting approach. So
Yeah, I think
excited
people
about it,
wanted
yeah.
them right away, but we needed to fix them up because
Yeah.
our audio visual is pretty shitty. So
The
but
videos have been looking pretty.
I think it's worth the wait. And now she's got a process down, so she's spitting them out fast.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
next week we have a few coming out. So.
But yeah, man, a long time. We haven't seen you, I guess, since the conference.
I know. Weekends are a bit tricky, so I usually can't make things like this. But it's glad to be able to carve out a little bit of time today and chat with y'all and chat with people. Go over
I saw you, tweeting. You got a lot on your plate. I think you said you fell behind on your show a little bit, right? You wanted to be putting out more episodes or whatever, but I guess you got some personal things you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people. You're in high demand. People want your content.
They're just always, I mean, in a decentralized project like Monero, and even in the privacy space, there's just always more to do than there is time to do it. So it's hard to prioritize those things. And even when you do prioritize and get things done, it always feels like there's just so much more that you wish you could work on or focus on or take on. So it's tricky, but trying to do the best I can with the time that I have.
Yeah. So what would you say is kind of your priority list and what you try to focus on with regards to Monero? I mean, you do a lot and you like dig deep. You don't do like superficial stuff. You don't like send out a tweet like, "Oh, Monero is better than Bitcoin." You like you spend like 5 hours going and sending out a diesel thread. So like, what is your kind of priority list and what you want to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, my priority still kind of remains on the educational side. Just trying to break things down in a way that's not just kind of shilling or engagement tweets, but like trying to get nuanced information out there, show people why, like specifically with Monero, why Monero is a powerful tool, but not to discount the things that other projects can or can't do necessarily, but just to make sure that they have access to info just to make a well-informed decision. So that's where like most of my time on Twitter goes, trying to both put out good information about Monero and kind of combat a lot of the bad information that's out there, either from other projects or other people in the space who don't understand how Monero works, that kind of thing. So a lot of it goes down to that. I mean, I think we're kind of in this weird limbo right now in Monero where I feel like everyone in the Bitcoin space and really in the cryptocurrency space knows what Monero is and knows it's a privacy coin, but most people don't really understand how it actually works or what it does. So we have a lot of people talking about it, but not a lot of people that understand why it is this thing that people know about now and why it's being widely adopted and why more people are starting to use it as a payment method and that kind of thing. So kind of trying to bridge the gap there. Past that, just kind of wherever I see gaps in the Monero community, places where I can step in and kind of help to bridge the gap, especially right now between kind of like devs and researchers and the broader space. Like with the stuff I've been digging into ZK snarks just to see how, now that they can be done trustlessly, how they could or could not be a helpful tool for Monero devs and researchers to improve or change the protocol in the future. So digging in and finding good resources there and trying to bring that together. But yeah, really just kind of whatever I can find time for and trying to be a helpful presence on Twitter to bring people the info they need to make smart decisions.
Yeah, you're doing a great job and doing great. Yeah. So I like that you're taking that initiative with, saying, let's talk about, ZK snarks and, whatever, whether or not we might potentially want to consider implementing that tech into Monero. I think that was awesome that you took that initiative. I guess you got to be a little gingerly about it, right? Because you don't want people to think like, oh, Monero tech sucks, that's why I want to do this. I see you have to like kind of keep qualifying your statements. So you want to like qualify it now and let people know what your kind of take is, so people understand what's going on there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the other tricky part too is that people usually associate ZK snarks with Zcash, but they're not the same. There is a lot of overlap, obviously. A key piece of Zcash is ZK snarks, but really ZK snarks are this generic proving tool that you can use in ways that can be either similar to how we currently use proving tools within the Monero protocol, or it can be used in totally different methods, like trying to build out a complicated circuit that can do things like smart contracts. So it's very much it's a generic building block that you can use to build a protocol out of, whether that's a payment protocol or something else. So yeah, when approaching it, it's tricky to kind of detach ZK snarks from Zcash, and I think properly give credit to Zcash for a lot of work that they've done on improving that field and putting money and dev and research time into kind of pushing the boundaries there, but also not, or making it clear to people that Zcash is not like the only ones who are touching ZK snarks or the only use case for ZK snarks or that kind of thing. So detaching that's definitely a tricky part, and just kind of trying to show people how they can be useful. Even like an interesting thing, I brought this up in a GitHub issue that I can send you all if you want to post in the chat. But just kind of trying to bring together information to help devs and researchers who are already working on Monero or new ones that might want to come and start working on Monero.
Yeah, let's post that in there. Post it in the chat if you can. I learned a lot from reading that right off the bat. So who I saw, I think Ko was in there, talking about things, right? And what's
Kayaba Nerve.
Yeah, who that's who is that? That's what's his name, right?
He was at Monerotopia, but he's been a kind of constant contributor and background person in the dev and research community. So he also
the dark
he worked on the Farcaster atomic swaps for a while as well.
Okay. Yeah. No, what's the dark guy, the guy behind
Amir Taki.
Amir Taki. I was about to say that.
So he was talking in there too, right? Was he that's one of his, right?
Yeah, and kind of what rekindled my interest in ZK snarks is that the DarkFi project team offered to help however they could with the Monero devs and researchers exploring and potentially integrating ZK snarks into the protocol. And they offered that at Monerotopia, which kind of got me having renewed interest in that specific tool and how it could help Monero, since they had made that offer. They're building out an interesting, basically privacy preserving smart contract platform using trustless ZK snarks as a key piece of that. So there's a lot of potential kind of collaboration there. I need to dig more into their project, but it seems very fascinating, and privacy preserving kind of DeFi is a very useful thing, could be very powerful, and they specifically are very keen on integrating Monero and making it a key part of the platform. So there's definitely some interesting stuff there, but that kind of re-sparked the interest that I had in ZK snarks, and then making sure that we were considering it, that we had people who could explore it, that could see how this could help in the future. And the specific way that many people may think of ZK snarks being helpful is that they can bring essentially larger per transaction anonymity sets, because you can use a unique protocol of them to make it so that the true spend in a transaction could be any output on the network, rather than the 1 of 11 ring sig, the 1 of 11 signers in a ring sig, or 1 of 16 after the update. There's definitely some powerful possibilities there, but it comes with a lot of trade-offs of being very cutting edge cryptography, less well understood, lots more risk for implementation or cryptography flaws. There's a lot of things to consider there, as well as they're a lot less efficient than the current approaches that we take. So a lot to balance, and like you said, a lot to just make clear to people, like, this doesn't mean that Monero is broken or ring signatures are broken or that they're not working well or anything like that.
Right.
Monero is working extremely well as is, and it's even doing so under much more extreme duress than any other cryptocurrency right now, since Monero sees wide usage in darknet markets, ransomware campaigns, that kind of thing, where, while those things aren't necessarily good, they are good tests of a technology, because governments and law enforcement want to shut those things down. So if Monero can withstand the pressures there, it's a good sign that the current protocol is working, but that shouldn't mean that we just stop looking at the tools that can help us to continue improving that protocol over time. Just like we're increasing ring size. And
that's how we've gotten where we are today, right? With that same line. I mean, confidential transactions, right? I mean, ring CT itself, right, came from confidential transactions, which wasn't invented by Monero people per se, but Monero adopted it. And
I mean, our history is largely finding good things that other people have invented but haven't deployed usually, and then taking them, improving them, and implementing them into Monero. Like Ring CT was taking confidential transactions, which have been developed for Bitcoin, and finding a way to build ring signatures with confidential transactions in one. And so it was a unique new protocol, but it was using that building block of confidential transactions that wasn't invented by Monero people, but we were the first to take it, implement it, and make good use of it on a broadly used network. So that's been the case for a lot of the technologies we've put forward, even though there's also been a lot of research and inventions within the Monero community as well. So it's finding that balance and kind of keeping an eye both internal on things like Seraphis, which is definitely the next step for the Monero protocol, but also keeping an eye externally and seeing what are the steps after that. What are the potential building blocks that could even be helpful for Seraphis? Like Ko and Cabernet are exploring how potentially ZK snarks could be used as a piece of Seraphis.
Right.
And
Seraphis
maybe improve
is so modular, right? That's my understanding too. So there might be some way of kind of swapping out a piece and swapping in. I know very high level overview there, but right, isn't there some discussion in that regard?
Yeah, right now they're talking about potentially replacing the membership proof portion of Seraphis with the ZK snark. Whether that would be efficient enough or useful, obviously that's what they're exploring now, but you could potentially get that larger anonymity set using that ZK snark for only that one piece of the protocol, rather than trying to do lots of proofs within a single ZK snark. So that one of the big advantages to Seraphis, and something that is actually an improvement of Seraphis over even like a full ZK snark implementation like in Zcash, is that Seraphis is extremely modular. So you can replace specific pieces of the protocol or upgrade specific pieces of the protocol without having to change everything and change every single piece. So that helps both from the potential integration of ZK snarks or just future changes that we want to make become a lot easier and a lot smaller, because we don't need to wholesale replace the whole protocol. Whereas like in Zcash right now, when they do an upgrade, they have to migrate all funds into a new pool. They have to do this big process because they're completely changing the transaction or the payment protocol as part of that. And so it requires migration and all these extra steps. Whereas Seraphis does a good job of breaking things up in a modular way that can have some really important benefits to the long term of Monero being able to continue to iterate and do it in a smarter way.
Now, I know there was some drama with, whether, Zcash, I guess it's Halo 2, that it's not completely open source, the licensing that they're using, and then trying to, get them to change the licensing so that, Monero could essentially use it or give Monero permission to use it. But my understanding is essentially that doesn't really even matter anyway, right? Because I mean, there are other aspects, more base layer aspects of the tech that already are completely MIT open source licensed, and then that tech could be used. I know I'm really talking about this in general terms, but can you explain that a little bit? Is that?
Yeah. So it was a bit of a mess. Honestly, the way that I approached it probably wasn't ideal in the end. I essentially was trying to dig in to see within this new upgrade that Zcash is deploying, there's kind of two major pieces to it. One of the pieces is called Halo 2, and it's essentially just this proving piece of the protocol that can be used to build out things like a payment protocol. And then there's Orchard, which is essentially their payment protocol built out of Halo 2.
And that's the part that's not open source.
Halo 2 and Orchard were both licensed with a new license, which is always suspect. New open source licenses always bring a lot of trouble because people aren't going to trust them out of the gate. There's a lot of nuance that has to be figured out. A lot of just not fun legal stuff that goes along with that. But they decided, it's not clear if there was much community consent in it, but ECC decided to license Halo 2 and Orchard as BOSL, as a new type of license, which is kind of like, and open source licensing is a whole another can of worms, but it's similar to the GPL license, which is considered a copyleft license or a viral license, which essentially means you can't use it. BOSL specifically says you can use the code however you want in an open source project as long as you relicense to BOSL. So your project has to follow the same license. And then if you want to use it in a closed source project, you can for up to 12 months, and then you have to open source everything after those 12 months. So it's kind of an attempt to prevent capture by closed source companies while hopefully drawing in people who are building closed source tools to eventually contribute back. It's kind of trying to strike a middle ground in a lot of ways. But they chose to use this license, and essentially what that means is any project that is not BOSL, which there are no other projects that are BOSL right now because it's a new license, would have to relicense if they wanted to use any of this code. Thankfully, they're converting Halo 2 to be MIT license, which is a permissive, very open license that we could easily use something like that within Monero. But Orchard, they're keeping BOSL, at least for now, even though their community seems to be very against that at this point. There's a lot of discussions.
Right, and they're clearly keeping it for reasons of having a competitive advantage over other projects. I mean, like that's what they're saying, because there's no other reason to do that.
Right? Yeah. Zuko put a long comment in their thread that essentially he's trying to ensure that there's value capture for Zcash as a project for ZC holders specifically, while also providing the good to the world through open source. But I'm not sure if in practicality you could achieve both of those goals in the same thing and in the same license. Because essentially what this seems like this will do, and I am not a lawyer, not an open source license specialist, so it's definitely not something that's an area of expertise, but in talking to lots of people about this since, it seems like essentially what this will do is make Orchard, their payment protocol, basically source available, because people aren't going to be able to integrate it into their own source code unless they relicense, and no one's going to want to relicense to a new license. And then it also makes it so that ECC has this permission to grant exceptions to that. So if you want to use Orchard, you can ask for an exception, and then if they grant it, you can use it under your own license, and it simplifies the process there. But that license granting process is vague. It's not defined at all. I was essentially told by Zuko and Josh Swihart to propose it to the community, and then the community went back and forth on it. Most people said we don't want to grant an exception because we don't like Monero, which is very much not the open source the open source ethos there.
Such
but
a bad look for them. They're like, it was it was such a, I know you were I don't, that wasn't your intention, but I feel like they just like put themselves in a corner then, and they just made themselves look really bad by overwhelmingly responding, being like, oh well, we don't want to basically open it up because we don't want Monero people to use it. And I feel like that's what they're most criticized for, is like this concern that they're kind of corporate and they're not really truly aligned with the open source ethos, and here they are all kind of admitting to that. And it just
traditionally
some of them
have been well aligned with open source. I mean, Zcash has been MIT licensed before. Everything has been put through MIT. They even have a specific proposal that was accepted that's supposed to make everything MIT licensed or similar, but it seems like that also kind of was ignored in this process of licensing Halo 2 and Orchard as BOSL. And it doesn't even seem like, I don't think there's a cohesive group in the community that wants BOSL either. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up going with, because I think one of the important and positive things about Zcash previously has been they have remained open source focused. Everything has been open sourced. And so other projects can take that and build on it. But a license like this poses major risk to not only their own project, but their being open source in actuality rather than in name only. And like all of this was very much not my intent with going to that. I was told to go to the community to ask for this exception because I was hopeful that we could get the exception up front and then know whether or not we could potentially use this code in the future or use it to build out proof of concepts or that kind of thing. Because all of that would require an exception, because we're never going to do BOSL license code within Monero. But obviously that devolved quickly into a lot of other stuff. So there were some good positive voices in the community that were pushing back on BOSL and pushing to just grant anyone who asked for an exception, because that would be much more aligned with the open source ethos. And especially because essentially ECC has total control over who gets exceptions. There's a lot of potential problems for even Zcash themselves, because they, like right now, the community couldn't fork away if they didn't like what ECC was doing or something like that. They couldn't fork the project away because they couldn't get an exception from ECC to be able to use the code. And the code is currently licensed MIT, and the contributors would all have to approve of a move to BOSL, which they would never do. So they're essentially locking their community as well into following whatever the ECC says. So there's a lot of problems. I hope they'll revise it. I hope they'll change to MIT and keep driving the open source portion of Zcash, because there's definitely a lot of promise there. But we'll have to see what their community decides. There's a lot of conversations and uproar ongoing. Yes,
and you're right in the middle of it.
Accidentally, but oh well.
You're doing a good job, though. I think you're doing a great job as being diplomatic as always. You have a great talent for that, and this is a difficult community and sector to be diplomatic in. Like, if and I don't know, you have a really good skill for that. So,
and it's hard in both the Monero community and Zcash community and every other one. It's hard to see past tribalism, to try to see what things are being done well in other projects, what things are being done poorly, and learn from them and use those things to improve your own project. Like, obviously, I see Monero as the long-term solution to financial privacy, is the long-term solution to financial freedom. And so if we continue to remain open like we have in the past to potentially pulling in things from other projects, even if we don't like those projects, as long as it's open source, we can see what's going on. We can re-implement it ourselves, like with this whole ZK snarks investigation. Even if we wanted to do exactly what Zcash is doing, which we don't and we wouldn't, but even if we did, we could code that from the ground up in C++ and use it in Monero. So
so
just hoping people remain open.
Long story short, it doesn't really matter because Monero can just build it from the ground up. Like the aspects of it that are truly open source are
and the math, one of the things that they cannot restrict, or at least they haven't yet, is they haven't put a copyright on the math behind it. So even if Halo 2 itself wasn't MIT and was under their strange new license,
but
we could still build from the ground up using the math behind the cryptography that they're using and build it ourselves. And the Monero community certainly has that expertise within the researcher and dev community. So I'm not worried about that. Like my goal in trying to get this exception and everything was not that I didn't think we could do it, but rather if there was open source code that would be useful to us, maybe we could use that to reduce some of the load that goes into it.
Right. Why waste our resources and whatever, reinvent the wheel when you can use some aspect of it.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, once again, I appreciate you, putting the energy in and pushing forward on it. I think it was effort well worth taken. I think it was a step in the right direction to get people talking about it more. Obviously, they already were. The devs are already aware of these things, but it's good. It gets it out to everybody. And Monero being a truly open source project, it gets the community involved in realizing all these things and thinking about it.
And I think another interesting aspect of this too is ZK snarks and all of the things that are around that. ZK snarks, lots of different approaches to that type of proving system is very much in focus in the broader academic and cryptocurrency space. So there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of focus there. So I think another potential advantage is we get to pull in new contributors to the Monero community if we can explore this and can potentially use this in Monero, because people who maybe they just want to work on ZK snarks, and now that Monero maybe is interested, they could jump in and help us to explore what that could mean for the protocol itself. But if nothing else, hopefully it'll be a useful resource for the future for people who want to explore this and can gather resources and gather expertise, and just make sure we kind of cover this potential angle for the Monero protocol.
I don't have the GitHub in front of me looking at right now, but there was something else. There was another project that used the same basic technology too, that other than Zcash that I learned of.
I mean, there's actually a lot. So a lot of projects building on Ethereum are actually exploring this to be able to do generally not necessarily privacy focused things, but ZK snarks also provide a lot of other potential advantages, like sidechains for Ethereum are exploring this. There are some other main projects are like Aztec, which is a payment preserving protocol built on top of Ethereum. They're using ZK snarks. It's a very broadly used and researched technology in the space because it holds a lot of promise for solving a lot of different things. And it's been around for a very long time. The concept has been around for a long time, but an actual implementation that's usable is basically 6 years old, which is not long at all in the cryptography space. Crypto is the actual term, cryptography. So it's very much cutting edge and has a lot of interest and focus behind it in many different projects. Again, not just Zcash. Zcash is one of them and is somewhat of a main player in the actual cryptography and research behind it. But there are a lot of other projects exploring them or using them today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I know you're short on time, and I hear babies crying in the background.
Sorry for that.
No,
you
so
did well,
we
actually.
apologize. Yeah, wow, yeah, you stayed
You're
laser
like, we're
focused.
focused. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, poor Munchkin.
Yeah.
You learned to tune it out and focus when you need
I
to
know. I
focus on
saw that. I was
something.
like, wow, look. Of course, dads do that. I was actually. That's funny. Aw.
Plenty of practice. So.
They
Yes,
want to
I'm
chill
sure.
with dad. I don't blame them. All right, man. We'll let you go. I mean, if you want to stay, by all means, stay. If you want to stay, and we'll have bring people on the stage later. But if you got to go, we understand. We appreciate you jumping on and explaining some of those things.
Yeah, happy to. Like I said, always happy that y'all are driving this and bringing some new topics and new people together in the community. So always a joy. I can hang her out for a little bit longer, but y'all feel free to move on to other topics, and I'll hang out in the background and see if I can answer some questions.
Word, awesome.
Right,
So when is the next episode that you're dropping? Because I know, like you said, you stalled a little bit there. So when are you coming back with the vengeance?
It'll probably be, so I'll do just kind of a broad Q&A episode soon. Hopefully we'll start to collect questions people have. It'll be both cryptocurrency, privacy, kind of whatever people are interested in. I'll try to answer those in a probably pretty long episode. And that'll be a unique one between seasons. But right now, I just finished up season 1 of Opt Out, my podcast. And then, season 2. And then season 3, I'll try to launch in June is the goal. But I'm going to be a little bit more ambitious with the focus there. So it may be a little bit more complex. And obviously, we have MoneroCon happening in June.
Yeah, are you going? You going to Monero?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there one way or another. Hoping to present as well, but still waiting on the yes or no to whether my presentation was accepted. But yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome, man. All right, let's move on
to the price report.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it. And now for our weekly news segment. Sorry, guys, wrong one. The Monerotopia price report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
All right.
Okily dokily. Hello, Bawdy.
Bawdy, what's going on, man? Sorry for the hold up there.
I know,
we
sorry
had
for that.
Change things around. Seth,
not a problem at all. So I'm not seeing a setting here where I can share my screen.
Yeah, there's an option on the bottom to share with like a plus sign.
I'm on a new device right now.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you should see unmute, stop cam, settings, share.
Like there's a bar on the bottom of the screen itself.
Or maybe he's on a...
You know, maybe I don't have my like permissions. Is anyone familiar with an iPad? I have almost never used an iPad before.
Oh, you're using I've never used it on the iPad, but
should work.
See, probably it's under privacy settings. I'm sorry to waste a little bit of time here. I thought I had everything.
No worries. You want to maybe try a different browser on the iPad and
yeah, I'm on Safari.
It should be able to work on Safari.
Okay.
Maybe you'll see like a tab on the top right screen or something, because it has to be probably like a tab if you're doing it on the
I'd give
iPad.
a different browser a shot, actually. You might have luck with that. You want to jump to the news?
The news segment since I did that. Yeah,
go ahead and do that, and I'll see if I can figure this out.
All right, cool, man.
Sounds good. All righty. And now for our weekly news segment.
All right.
So that was that was correct. Is it because we did?
I was trying to keep the news short. There really wasn't much major news this week, except for this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Senator Elizabeth Warren demands answers from Fidelity for allowing Bitcoin in retirement plans. So yeah, just another example of Senator Warren attacking. Look at that picture, attacking crypto. I don't know, like what is up? Who's advising her? Why is I don't know. It just seems like a really bad. Like, why is she making this her thing? Where she's just constantly attacking crypto for different reasons. It's interesting how like pro crypto is kind of more of a right leaning thing, and like anti crypto is more left. Obviously, you have those on the left that are also pro crypto, but it seems like more of the anti crypto, the whatever proof of work mining. Now in this example, she's doesn't think Fidelity is being responsible by essentially purchasing Bitcoin because of the risk involved. So yeah, Mother Elizabeth Warren is looking out for all of our best interests. She wants us to trust her instead of trusting crypto, because she's got your interests. She'll figure it out for us, guys. Forget about Satoshi Nakamoto and crypto and everybody that's working on that. She's looking out for us. What's the next story? Let's keep moving. Oh, and then then in response, I don't know if this was in response or seemed to happen at the same time. This guy put up a bill. Senator's Financial Freedom Act would ensure Bitcoin can be in your 401k. If you want to scroll, I don't even know which senator this is that's proposed. Senator from Alabama. Oh, don't go. Tommy Tuberville from Alabama unveiled a new bill he calls the Financial Freedom Act to allow Americans to add cryptocurrency to their 401k. So I think she's a Republican, I'm pretty sure. So here you go. It's like you got this divide. The Dems trying to prevent, or at least Warren, but she kind of really does represent that side, trying to prevent Bitcoin from being in retirement accounts, and this senator trying to pass a bill that would allow for financial freedom for Americans to add crypto to their 401ks. So it's interesting to see this political dynamic playing out. So if you're on the Republican or right side, you're probably happy about this. If you're politically not on that side, you're probably
Don't assume.
but you're still into crypto, you're probably upset to see that these reps are out there and they're not really helping crypto. Interesting dynamic. This bill just proposed. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, probably won't pass because it's being pushed by a Republican and they don't control the Senate right now. Or whatever, sit in the house. Just want to get the word out. Monero GUI has been updated. There's a new release. So just getting the word out to everybody, just helping the community realize that. So go check it out. Then you can download the new client or the new GUI. This is a new software release. One of the things that was updated, I guess there's been this ability for people to essentially charge really high transaction fees on their, so if you go through a node that's run, I forget the term that they're using. So if you can scroll down this way, basically people are able to, what's the term? Warning against fees during transaction creation. So yeah, there's this issue where people are going through nodes that are controlled by people who are somehow implementing a really high transaction fee, and people are doing it, not realizing it, and they're trusting these nodes. So now there's a warning against high transaction fees during transaction creation. So if you happen to be relying on one of these nodes that's trying to rip you off, it's going to give you a warning saying, you probably don't want to pay, 20 Monero to send 30 cents. A little scary that could happen, but it's good to see that there's solutions coming out. Obviously, the ideal is to just, use your own node. But nice to see that they're trying to figure out a way to solve that problem. Next story. The Monero Twitter sent out a statement saying your tail emission is going to be coming in around 30 days. This was like 5 days ago, so it's a little more than 30 days. My understanding, we're on track for June 8th, which is when the meetup will be. So it's almost 30 days from today. Today's, I don't know, whatever. It's going to be on June 8th. They put out a long thread on what tail emission is and why Monero does the tail emission. This is like one of the, we need to work on getting the correct info out to the general crypto community about what tail emission is and why Monero does it, because there's a lot of misunderstandings there. We always talk about privacy and fungibility, and we never really get to talk about these other cool things that Monero does. So it's nice to see that the word is starting to get out. Obviously, everybody in Monero knows this, but we're trying to push it out to the broader community. And then if you go to the next tweet, in response to people talking about tail emission coming up in 30 days. Peter Todd put out a tweet. Monero made the right move here. So there you go. I mean, Peter Todd has always said this. We had him on the show. He's always been interested in tail emission. He sees Bitcoin's cap supply as a potential issue for all the reasons we've spoken about on this show before. So it's nice to see that Peter continues to point this out, and these ideas will go out to the broader crypto community, and they'll start to understand and realize how there is a different design decision made here. Monero has dynamic blocks, and it has a tail emission, and it was architected different than Bitcoin, basically architected in a way that will ensure future security, because they'll always be Monero to be mined by a mining network. And Monero's blocks are dynamic, so they will grow in size as more people use the Monero network, and transaction fees will actually go down over time. And as more people use Monero, the cheaper transaction fees will get, and Monero will always be mined in perpetuity without any fear because of the tail emission. All these things, they're all good stuff, and it's nice to see Peter Todd getting the word out, and hopefully people in Bitcoin start to pick up on this. People that are Monero curious, that aren't super BTC maxi, see this as yet another reason as to why you might look at and consider Monero as an interesting project. And this is good Monero news. CoinCard just continue to
awesome.
kick ass in terms of Monero usage. And according to this, in April, Monero was used 63% compared to BTC, which is only was less than 20%. So that's really exciting to see. I think I don't know if you have the other tweet there, in the global usage, Monero wasn't number one. It was Bitcoin.
Canada.
But in the USA, Monero kicked ass. So I don't know. Maybe it's from all those purchases we made with CoinCard. It must have been us. Well,
April. Yeah, we're third. It was us.
But still, it was number 3 globally. And yeah, in the US, over 60% of all CoinCard usage. I recently went on Bitrefill's YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we forgot to mention that. I was interviewed by them, and the Bitrefill guy who runs their YouTube show, he's in their market, who runs marketing for them, is a huge Monero. He loves Monero. He loves the Monero project. He doesn't know why. Well, he outed himself out in the interview. It was great. He's a great dude. He had me on. We spoke about Monero. He interviewed me about Monero. He said, he would love for Bitrefill to add Monero. I mean, we got coin cards and we love coin cards, so we don't necessarily do that. I'd like to see coin cards continue to grow. So obviously it'd be great if Bitrefill adds it, because they just have a large customer base. But in the meantime, we got coin cards. But it was interesting to see, here's somebody who works for Bitrefill, and he's, secretly, or actually not so secretly, a Monero guy. He said he sold all his Bitcoin and went all in on Monero, and here he is working for Bitrefill doing their marketing, and they won't even add Monero. He didn't really know why. It's, I guess, because of whatever, they don't want to take the risk. Maybe their banking relations. Who knows what's going on? But it was interesting that the people behind the scenes are actually very much into Monero. I would like to see it added. And I think that's it. That's the news for the week.
Yeah, that is the news for the week.
Bam.
Oh no, his chart went out. I think Bawdy is ready.
Let's get him back on.
Let's get him back. Let's do the price segment again.
Do it again.
The Monerotopia price report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer. Okay, I think.
All right, he got it.
He got it.
Bawdy, awesome. Thank you, man.
Oh wait.
On my laptop, I had everything set up on my iPad, but we'll figure out how to make it work like this.
Yeah, I added all 3 of you. You have 3.
Awesome.
Inputs.
Cool. I get to be schizophrenic today. Hopefully, my charts won't be too schizophrenic. So All right, let's start with, I always like to zoom out and then zoom in. This is also going to be a little bit slower because I haven't been on the web browser interface for TradingView for a while. So this is also a new laptop. It's a new Purism Librem. Okay. Anyway, so here's the weekly chart for the Monero US dollar, and you can see that we're still inside this nice triangle. I really like the way this looks. You can see, I've kind of got these two lines drawn here, and I usually, we'll talk about this more later, but when it comes to drawing lines, I don't really look at any line that I draw as being hard and fast. There's very few of them that are like, this is the correct line to draw, because as soon as you change the time frame to the daily or the 4 hour, you might draw the line a bit differently. So for anyone out there that's kind of learning trading, I would definitely recommend that you draw multiple lines and give yourself sort of a tolerance. So it would be, these kinds of large triangles tend to break towards the upside. But you can also see that it might take us until 2023 to really fully get there, which wouldn't surprise me given the macro state of the rest of the market. If there's a little bit of a lag on here, again, I apologize. I'm actually running this on cubes, so cubes isn't necessarily the best graphical environment. But okay, so this is the short term, a little bit more shorter term. We're on the daily chart, and essentially all of this right here is, I think it's both the Money run and also I think it's just the natural trend of where this chart wants to go. I know that we broke down a little bit here, but honestly, I'm not really concerned about that. If you can see right here, this is a pretty natural place that we would want to establish support. So, there's a lot of people that saw the Money run and they thought, hey, I can trade this too. Let me get in and then I'll sell the top and then I'll rebuy lower. And, a lot of people are like, stop degenerately gambling with our precious Monero price. But honestly, I like all the guys in XMR Trader, even the Mr. Ratman. And if these guys, if they can trade their way to getting more Monero, good for them. Like that'll only be good for us. And I actually do like the fact that that Ratty's a bit of a contrarian voice, and he's actually been more right than maybe we'd like to admit. So the Monero US dollar price.
How do we know you are not Ratty, buddy? For all we know, you are Ratty.
It's just one of my many.
That alternate personality, yeah.
Well, I do. I am on 2 or 3 different screens here right now. So
exactly.
Let's see. I wanted to show you guys something else as well. This is a concept that might be a little bit hard to explain at first. So if you'll bear with me. So one thing that you can look at with price is volatility, and there's quite a few different ways of measuring it. One way that I like to look at is just standard deviation. You take your upper and lower standard deviation. This white line here represents a sort of aggregated standard deviation, and I'll show you what I mean by aggregated. This is so slow. So much faster on the iPad.
No worries.
Yeah, I don't know why the iPad, there was no button for screen sharing there, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe it's some permission. Although I was screen sharing with Jitsi the other day. Anyways, all right, so these blue lines, what I do is I take the standard, so the standard deviation of price, if you remember a bell curve, you've got the center of the bell curve, which is your average or your median, and then you've got one standard deviation contains like basically 66% of all your data, or close to it. And then, so what I do is I take the difference between the upper and the lower standard deviation. This is one common way that people will measure volatility. But the question is the standard deviation of what? Do you take the 10-day moving average, right? The 100-day moving average? Well, I say just take all of them, right? Take all the way up to the 5,000 period moving average. Since we're on the daily, that would be 5,000 days. And that's what these blue lines are. Now, one thing that happens when you get into these bull markets, like for example, recently, you'll see that your standard deviation, the width or your volatility starts increasing. It increases, and then at some point you end up blowing off, and then all of those lines start collapsing again. So what happens is when you get a compression of volatility, that's basically the market kind of saying, okay, we kind of agree on a price, and people aren't sure where the price is going to go. So price tends to get constrained, and this happens both on long term and on short term. And so one thing that you'll see a lot of is when price is ready to make a big move or to start a new trend, you'll see how all of these lines basically bunch up at the bottom. Again, that's compression, that's volatility, that's price not moving very much. And then as you see this volatility starts to increase, in this case it was volatility to the upside, you see these bands also start to increase, the distance between the upper and lower standard deviation. So we're starting to see that again down here. We're starting to see, it looks, you know, and this could take weeks to months to play out, but we're starting to see compression down here. And so we're setting up eventually to make a big move to the upside, hopefully. This blue line, this is correlation. We won't talk too much about it. I'll just show you one thing. So this is a correlation analysis. It tells you how correlated one asset is to another. So we've got the Monero US dollar price as correlated to the total market cap of cryptocurrency. And so you can see that, you know, as the money run was getting kicked, you know, as we were kicking into high gear, this essentially means no correlation. So at the top here would be 1. 1 would be 100% positive correlation. And then down here would be -1, which would be inversely correlated. So when you're oscillating between these two here, basically means that there's no correlation. So it was kind of cool. We sort of decoupled from the markets for a little bit during the money run. And so this is a 1 hour time frame. So essentially we're looking at the intraday correlation. If we were to switch to like the 4 hour time frame, that would give us like a rolling 4-day correlation. And you can see there's been other periods of time. Oh, this is the one that I wanted to show you, or another one that I wanted to show. It's, I guess you might say, mildly annoying. So this period right here, if you remember October and November of 2021, when everything else was pumping but our price was flat, you know, that's another place where we lost correlation. And this was a place actually where Zcash did like a 2x relative to our price, or more than that. Anyways, I just thought some of you guys might find that interesting. It's useful to look at correlation because when you can find assets that are decorrelated, that can reduce your risk. So this is something you'll see in like professional investing. They'll look for assets that have no correlation because you just give yourself, it's like being diversified basically. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, my crypto portfolio is going to be diversified. I'm going to buy this shitcoin and that shitcoin and all this other stuff. But the reality is that all of crypto is correlated to all other crypto. There's very, very few that are consistently decorrelated. In fact, probably none. There's one that has showed decorrelation in the past, but I'm not going to mention its name because, well, it's a shitcoin, and I don't want to promote. You know, this is a Monero talk.
But you're saying Monero is, if of any like major coins, it seems to be one that decorrelates quite a bit.
They all tend to decorrelate from time to time, but Monero has historically been very correlated to the rest of the market. Oh. Now, but there are periods of time where we do decouple from the market. So I'm expecting, hoping that as time goes forward over the next few months, maybe the next year or so, that Monero shows periods of time where it's heavily decoupled from the rest of the market. Let's go to the chart that looks really good, that we can all pretty much celebrate right now, or is getting really close to a celebration point. This is Monero Bitcoin, of course.
Nice.
And so this is the lifetime chart. And let's see. So this is a concept that I learned from a guy named Francis something or other. He calls himself the crypto sniper. And what he does is he'll draw the, he'll draw these wedges, and then he'll draw what he calls a splitter in between, right down the middle. And so that's one thing I've been playing with lately. And the important thing on this chart is that you can see the downtrend that we've had. It's been 4 years now. And this line right here, we've actually broken this resistance line. We broke it like very clearly right here. It's really hard to find a way to draw this line that we didn't break it. And again, when it comes to drawing lines, you'll see me, sometimes my charts look schizophrenic because I'm trying to find different ways to draw the line to make sure that I'm not, biasing myself to what I prefer to believe. Like, so for example, we could try and change this line maybe to here, but even so, like, that's still a wick. Like, the lowest that I could draw this line, the most shallow and the worst case that I could give us, we still wicked above that. That's to me, that's significant. But if we're really being honest and trying to draw it as best we can, draw the line, this is probably the right way to do it. So we did break up through that. Now, it's not too surprising that we were going to come back down into this zone. But this next candle, this candle that's happened this week, in the face of market turmoil and the market being really overall pretty negative, really it's been a lot of volatility. We had a big up day, then it crashed back down after the FOMC meeting. But the fact that Monero is still performing relative to Bitcoin is pretty encouraging. The other thing too is, you can see this cluster right here. That makes sense that we would come back down and test that area. So that's really, I know it was a bit disheartening after the money run for us to kind of say, crap, we gave up a lot of those gains, but it's the response that we had after that retrace, because again, that retrace is to be expected. As far as lines go, I just want to show one more thing. You can see that there were like periods of time where, essentially we broke, like that was a good line. I remember we broke right there. I remember we broke upwards through this at the very beginning of the bull market in late 2020. And this was kind of our personal euphoria phase before, in my opinion, they kicked on the money printing machine, in this case in the form of stable coins. And then they pumped the value. It was basically leverage. It amounts to leverage is what they did, because all those stable coins probably almost certainly don't really exist. They probably don't actually have dollars backing them. So and the fact that they don't have dollars backing them, but they say that they're stable coins out there and they're valued at $1, that basically represents leverage. So they leveraged up the system to pump the value of every shitcoin that they could think of. And so this had a negative impact on Monero's price. As we've discussed many times before, Monero is contrary to a lot of their business ideas, right? They have chain analysis, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The market cap of the chain analysis companies might exceed the market cap of Monero. So anyways, it's kind of unsurprising in hindsight that this would happen, but it looks a lot to me like, again, we're looking, and this is obviously as compared to Bitcoin, but that's a really important metric for us, because one thing we hear from maximalists constantly is, well, Monero, maybe you can transact with it, but it's not a store of value, which is it's just kind of a BS narrative for so many reasons, but without getting into all those reasons. So you can see this structure here looks very similar to the structure that we have now. And I'm going to do something that's really dubious. If I can find it. Where is it? I need to go to the object tree. If anyone knows which button that is here. If anyone out there in the chat knows which of these buttons I need to choose.
What's it called? Object tree?
Yeah, it's the object tree, which shows all of your drawings. Well, I'll just redo it. It's fine. Like I said, I haven't been. It's been probably a couple months since I've been on the web browser version. So it's called bars pattern.
Somebody's telling you to right click, so maybe it would. Oh.
Right click, reset, object tree. Hey, thank you, random whoever you were in the chat.
Liquid reality.
Okay, so if you were to take an overlay of these exact bars pattern right here, and then you were just to slide that to the right, and believe it or not, I haven't even, oh, here it is. Wonderful. And I haven't even changed the timeline on this. The amount of weeks here is exactly the same on the amount of weeks here. The only thing I've done is sort of squish the price down so that it fits. And this is very dubious, by the way. Like this is, we've had this fractal. They call them fractals. They call them bars pattern. Mm-hmm. This is really dubious. You can't make you can't trade on this for the most part, but it is helpful to kind of visualize how a pattern might be similar. And we've been looking at this for a long time, hoping that something like this plays out. If it does, it essentially means that we would shoot back to all-time highs very quickly. So that would happen maybe hypothetically, September. But again, this isn't a really good, this isn't a good trading mechanism. You can't use this for trades usually. All you can do is kind of get a sense that you might have a similar pattern playing out. So it does look like we might have a similar pattern playing out. And you might say, well, what could be the mechanism? What could drive us higher like that? And my thinking is that it could very easily be the GOX coins. There's 141,000 Gox coin, Bitcoin on Mt. Gox that need to be that are going to be released this year. It's been a long time in the making, and Mark Karpelis said that probably like early fall. Now, there's 141,000 Gox BTC, and I did some math, and unfortunately, it's on my iPad, so I can't directly show you. But so the market cap ratio from Bitcoin to Monero is about 0.5%. It's a little bit over 0.5%. It's very close to actually this number right here, the 0.005959. It's very close to that because we have almost the same amount of coins in circulation. Anyways, if we were to assume that maybe about 0.5% of those 141,000 Bitcoin want to convert to Monero, and that's a reasonable thought, because who knows the importance more of anybody than the people that lost their coins on Gox,
Right.
of withdrawing your coins, and who's going to be more likely to be interested in Monero, right? It's the OGs, the people that have known about crypto. So that would amount to about 800 Bitcoin. So if you took 0.5%, or 0.0057 of 141,000, that leaves us about 800 Bitcoin, and that's 136,000 Monero that could potentially be purchased on the open market. And given what we saw with the money run, that the market there, that liquid supply doesn't exist. It's just not out there. Now maybe some early whales, want to start unloading some bags. Who knows? But that could be a big catalyst for us, and we could see a big divergence between the Bitcoin price and the Monero price. The thing that will work against us, in my opinion, is that the market does look kind of bad overall. Like the market does not look strong. Let's look at a couple more charts, and then maybe we'll go to the overall.
Yeah. So in this potential scenario where this fractal plays out, which would be glorious, could that potentially happen in this type of market where overall Bitcoin continues to trend down against the dollar, or that would be very unlikely?
No, I think in a normal market scenario, right, under the normal paradigm regime that we've seen for the past few years, or really for almost the entire lifetime of Monero, that would be very abnormal. But it has happened before, and it's kind of one of those. It's not a black swan, but it's one of those events that doesn't normally happen. But I think that there is a mechanism for it to happen. I think that overall the charts are pointing towards that. Overall, look at coin cards. You showed the coin cards chart earlier. 63% Monero to like 15% Bitcoin. A big shift is happening, and I don't know if you guys feel it, but it's something that I see all over, at least the Reddits. It's something I see all over, even Twitter, despite the fact that I think that probably Twitter shadow bans Monero content somewhat. Maybe that's speculation. But I see a big shift. Like, people are not negative on Monero anymore. There's a few people here and there that are still kind of negative, but we significantly outnumber them now. So it's like the setup is there to me. The fundamental reason for that kind of event to happen is there, and the Gox coin could be the thing that triggers it. And the fact that we did this money run and we pulled as much liquidity as we can off the exchanges, that's a big deal. That'll work to help. That'll help us a lot going forward. This right here is the market cap dominance. Now market cap is a dubious kind of metric anyways, but for lack of anything better, we do use this. So we've had this very long downtrend, and this is actually a broadening structure here. My expectation would be eventually to break this to the upside, but that's really hard to say because the general dynamics of crypto is that every crypto loses dominance relative to the rest of crypto, because everyone's always interested in putting money into the new thing. This one right here is the Monero BCH price, and why does it look like that? Probably, yeah. So this is Monero versus Bitcoin Cash, and I sometimes like to compare Monero to Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Monero to the other proof of work coins. And so this is another good example of where you have this large ascending lifetime triangle, and then you break to the upside, and it looks like we still have a lot more positive movement. Litecoin versus Monero doesn't look like it's not quite as amazing of a chart, but it is nice. Let me see if I can pull it up. The evil Poloniacs who keeps who will refuse to give that one poor dude his 3,000 Monero, or however much it is. go. So this looks to me pretty nice as well. We keep setting lower, we set higher lows. We keep trying to break out to the upside here. We're actually pretty close to being, at our all-time highs versus Litecoin. And to me, this is important because Monero is one of these OG coins like Litecoin. Like, even though Bitcoin Cash was like 2017, it's still kind of an OG coin because of the people that, that moved to it. And I want to see us win against those guys, particularly because we're better than them. People are like, well, just use Bitcoin Cash. And while I appreciate the spirit of why people use it, I also say, well, it has all the same problems as Bitcoin. Litecoin was just largely a code fork of Bitcoin. They don't have any hash power. They're ASIC mined, right? They have somewhat spaghetti code, right? They don't have nice modular clean code base, at least not in the way that Monero does. So I feel like this is kind of a measure of the rationality of the OGs that are interested in altcoins, that are interested in digital freedom money. Because, a lot of the OGs really do still have the ideals. We got into this for this reason. So I would like to see Monero essentially replace those other coins. And I know that's a little bit of a, us versus them mentality, or it's not so much a we're all going to make it mentality, but, I don't think that there can be 10 or 20 different winners in this space. And I want to see the best technology win. If it was one of them,
it just makes sense. And like you said, I mean, overall ecosystem, you're starting to hear a different tune out there. You get the BTC maxis, and then you have this other contingent of BTC people that are Monero curious and interested in it and moving over to it and now publicly talking about it. You had the whole guns and Bitcoin, that whole crowd. And then, to your point, the Bcashers, people that are into Bcash, there's a lot of them that also seem to, at the same time, really be into Monero. So it is interesting. And like you said, I mean, there's probably only going to be one true digital cash protocol. I mean, at least that's how I see it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think there will necessarily be only one, but it's going to be limited. Like, we had gold and silver and precious gemstones have traded value over hundreds and thousands of years. So I could see a few cryptocurrencies being present, being used throughout the market.
Before that,
but it's not going to be 10 or 20.
Yeah, before that use case of digital cash, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I can't, right? But go ahead.
Yeah, maybe there could be like one more other digital cash. I don't see anything else. Kind of like you're saying, like I don't see anything else at the moment that strikes me as being like good enough to do that. Maybe Bitcoin Lightning Network, if they could ever prove Lightning Network and it can actually work. It's still not that fungible, but maybe it's good enough to hang out, and still stay there, or maybe not. I personally haven't made up my mind. These are the net longs. So the white line is the net. So the green line is the US dollar. This is data from Bitfinex. So the green is longs, the yellow is shorts, and then the white line is the difference between the two. So, if we could just get a moment of silence for whoever this wrecked pleb was that decided to sell right before the Monero run or the money run, and they had this beautiful long open. If they had just kept it open another week, they would have probably made a decent amount of cash. That's assuming that we actually, that we believe that.
Was that ratty?
The data. Yeah. Could be, for all we know. What was that? April 10th. Yeah, so like a week before the money run, they decided to close their shorts. Now, do we believe Bitfinex? I don't know if I believe Bitfinex when they report stuff or not. Probably there's some truthiness to it. And then down here, this is XMR BTC longs and shorts. Really, I should do my script to multiply by the current Bitcoin price so that it's, that it's easier to see like the actual dollar value. But anyways, yeah, not much really going on there. It looks like, again, some shorts, or somebody closed a bunch of shorts right before the money run. So that's nothing too interesting going on there. We can take a look at the Monero divergences as well, see what's going on. Essentially, let's see where I have this set. Okay, so we're showing the lows right now. This is the lowest price for any one particular candle. And yeah, there's really nothing going on here in the past. Do I not have Poloniex? Let's see, Poloniex is in blue. Yeah, so there's nothing really that interesting going on. For a period of time, we were seeing significant divergences of Poloniex being much lower. Let's take a look at the maximum price. Yeah, here we go. So Poloniex is in blue, and they're frozen for withdrawals. So the maximum price on any one candle never seems to get to the same price as everybody else. And well, that seems to make sense. Why would they, right? If you want that person or those people that have Monero on your exchange to sell, you don't want to give them full price. So you're just going to continually slightly mark the price down, which, all right, whatever, Poloniex. Those guys actually stole some coin from me back in the day. They held it hostage for KYC, and I told them to go F themselves,
Yeah, I may or may not have had a similar situation.
Yeah. A surprise. I don't, the thing is, it's kind of also my fault because we did see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And back then I was more of a pleb, and I was like, no, they're not going to do that, and we'll win, and blah, blah, blah. And
well, they were just limiting how much you could take off at a time, right? That was
Let me see if I can find, I need to switch to, another like chart layout. It's here. If the chat wants to help me out again, I would be very much appreciative.
What's the function you're looking for?
I have a whole other set of charts. They're all like just general crypto charts. And maybe it's load chart layout. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. There we go. Crypto overview. Yeah, so usually I like to go in reverse. I like to start with the traditional markets and see what the macro structure looks like, and then I'll look at the broad crypto market, and then I'll go look at Monero. We kind of did it in reverse today, but I don't want to bore everybody with talking about the 10-year yield. What they really care about is the Monero price. So I've tried. So you can see I've got Bitcoin US dollar here. I tried to get away from that and going to total crypto market cap because people say Bitcoin leads the market, but I'm not sure how much I believe that anymore. I think that the total has been a cleaner chart for most of the bull run. Right now, in the current sort of the microstructure, it's the Bitcoin chart is actually slightly cleaner. But anyway, so we'll look at the total crypto market cap, and essentially what we're looking at is very close to breakdown. Maybe we'll go to the daily. Probably the daily will make more sense here. Yeah. So maybe just going back to last summer, you can see that we have this wedge here. You get this volatility, you get this compression, the volatility goes down, and then you end up with a break to the upside, and that fueled us up here. Now, this entire part of this run was on very low volume. It didn't make any sense that the price was pumping, except for the fact that they were launching the ETF, and the insiders knew that ETF was going to get approved. So my thinking was that this entire run happened here, and it was artificial. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that we could see in real time happening. I was saying, guys, this is an artificial top. We're not going to 100K, and everyone told me I was crazy, and that we're definitely going to 100K in Bitcoin. And it turned out that essentially this was a scam. This was a distribution. And I wish I had a little bit. Maybe next time I'll prepare and show you guys what a Wyckoff distribution is. But this right here, actually, it would look better on the Bitcoin chart. We'll talk about Wyckoff next time. Essentially, it's a way that big insiders and whales unload their bags at maximum possible price onto retail. And that's what happened with crypto this last go around. So anyways, the total market cap, essentially, we're inside of this channel here. And we're basically on the verge of breaking this channel down. These right here, those are just wicks. We just kind of wicked down to the bottom there. Well, we've been closing multiple days. The one thing that we might get a little bounce out of is you can see that we've got this descending wedge, and these descending wedges, they tend to break to the upside, but not always. Sometimes they can break to the downside, and the problem is that we do have significant bearish just fundamental factors going on, and this chart looks really weak. Like So this day, this big green candle right here, that was the FOMC meeting when they raised by 50 basis points. And then they said, well, we're not going to raise any more through the month of June. So that was a big green candle right there. That was a nice pump. And then the very next day, like technically this is not a bearish engulfing candle, but because crypto is a 24-hour market, so the open and the close are almost always exactly the same. But you could almost kind of look at this red candle here on May 5th as being a bearish engulfing candle. Any good thing that was believed by the market on this candle was just totally erased on the next day. And so it's possible that we could get another, here's another thing that I think is also happening. I think that the market makers are essentially trying to, one, the market is undecided. The market doesn't know where it wants to go, but the market makers do love to use volatility during indecisive times. BART charts, right? People talk about the BART chart. They'll force it up, it'll do some stuff, then it'll drop back down violently. And often that happens during these periods where before a big move is about to happen. So all I'm saying is that anyone out there that's trading altcoins, be really careful right now. You probably want to look for ways to get out of your altcoins. I was really hoping for a bigger bounce. Like this bounce was something that I've been expecting since January. Like since we were somewhere down here, I had been expecting that we would get something like this. I just thought we would get higher. I thought we might make it up, another 20 or 30% higher. But the market was too weak to even do that. So we can take a look at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has a very similar structure going on. So again, we've got this channel here. It's a really easily defined channel, and then we just crashed right through it. We just broke that down completely, and that's problematic, right? This is exactly where you'd say, hey, we had the Fed promised not to raise rates for the rest of June. We should break to the upside. We should hold this. We should hold this support here, and at least try and go to the splitter, right? At least try and make a rebound to the splitter. That didn't happen. So overall, just the market just does not look strong. A bull market doesn't look like this. A bull market should give you significantly more strength. And I know that people want to talk about the inflation and everything, but the problem is that inflation doesn't hit evenly. The people that print the money decide where it goes first, and then that money has to redistribute to the rest of the market. Let me show you. I thought that I had it here, but maybe not. We won't look at that.
What do you think of that overall? I mean, we're experiencing crazy inflation, so this is a time when crypto should really be, fulfilling one of its use cases, and yet it's just, trending down with the broader stock market.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like it's time to crush some narratives, right? It's time to reevaluate what we thought the narrative was. We thought crypto would be a hedge against inflation, and maybe one day it will act more like gold. Maybe one day it will be a safety play. But for the moment, crypto acts like tech stocks on steroids. So now, as far as inflation goes, people don't really understand this. The people that print the money decide where the new inflation goes, and they always put it into the stock market. And then they started putting it into the housing market, and they've kind of been putting it into the bond market for like 40 years now. So the thing is, nobody wants to go buy a new car. No one wants to go buy their Lambo when they know that they have mad gains and a 10x coming up because of all the money that's being printed, right? So from March 2020 until March 2021, the Fed printed 25% of the M2 monetary supply, which is unprecedented. They've never done that. That's basically the total liquid supply of money in the system. All checking accounts, all cash, all time deposits of less than a year. Essentially the liquid money that people have to actually buy stuff with. Now, they printed 25%, but that inflation rate, the M2 monetary inflation rate currently is about normal. It's a little bit high, but it's not really that high. So what happened is they blew a huge bubble in the markets. So that went into housing, that went into stocks, and that went into tech stocks on steroids, aka crypto. And so it's risk on, right? People are saying, hey, I'm not going to spend money on consumer goods or anything else because I know that there's a huge bull market coming. Well, eventually that kind of peters out, right? The Fed stopped printing as much money. They started threatening to raise rates. Then they started actually raising rates. Now they're talking about reducing their balance sheet. We have to see if they actually do reduce their balance sheet or not. They tried this in 2018, 2019, and the markets threw a fit. So essentially what happens then, the market starts to falter. people start to get scared. And so all of that money that went into the stock market, that went into housing and these risk-on assets, suddenly that money starts to make its way into other parts of the economy, right? It starts to make its way into commodities, into consumer goods. People start noticing that, hey, my rent is getting a lot higher. Why? Because, well, you're getting charged more property taxes by the city. And that, that can take a year or two for these jurisdictions to catch up on their property taxes and say, well, hey, your house is now valued 50% higher. So now people are starting to have to pay more money for their gas, more money for food and their rent. Suddenly they don't have the disposable income, right? And then there was all this stimulus that happened with the crazy disease or the crazy tyranny associated with the disease. They did all the stimulus, but then there's no more stimulus, right? That ended in the fall of last year. So people don't have disposable income to continue throwing into crypto, to throw into the stock market. Now this inflation starts to rise and they start to get worried. They say, oh crap, maybe I should take some mad gains off the table and I should go ahead and buy my Lambo now instead of buying it 20% higher next year. Maybe I should go and spend the money that I've been saving in the stock market. And this happens like on a very broad, society level psychology. So now the market is getting sold. Right? People are selling their stocks. They're selling their risk on assets to go buy stuff. And then as they buy stuff, that makes the inflation even worse. And so this is where we're at right now. And the Federal Reserve is still saying, hey, we're going to hike interest rates. They're still being very hawkish and they're still saying that they're going to reduce their balance sheet. There's no new stimulus. So it's like, well, where's that money going to come from? So the thing about inflation is that we do have inflation, but right now it's all of the money that went into the stock market and risk on. It's the rest of the economy just catching up to that. So it's very possible for us to have inflation of consumer goods and inflation of commodities without necessarily having a commensurate rise in cryptocurrency and stocks. There's just no new buyers. Like anyone that wanted to buy crypto, you've had 2 years, right? Or at least a year and a half. So there's very few new buyers in crypto. And then think about the shitcoin market. It's worse than 2017. We have, like 10 or 20,000 altcoins out there. Like that stuff needs to get washed out. We need a bear market to wash all that crap out. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, it's likely that crypto could act as a safety play when the bond market fully, and this is kind of a more macro picture, but the entire stock market bubble has been fueled by the bond market. The bond market overshadows the stock market by orders of magnitude. And essentially what happened is the end of the bull market in bonds. The bull market in government debt has been like a 45-year bull market, and that's coming to an end. So I think they've got one little hoorah. I think we're going to have like a regular bear market here for maybe the next 6 to 9 months, and then we'll probably pick it up again next year. Again, I feel comfortable holding Monero. It could drop. Yeah, it could drop. It's hard for me to make any price calls on Monero because I know that it's correlated to the rest of the crypto market, but we have these other fundamental factors happening, like where the exchanges are dry on Monero and they've been, they just don't have that much. And then there's this GOX thing where we could see a massive influx. So I'm not going to sell my Monero, even if I have to write it down another 50 or 70%. But Bitcoin, I wanted to show you guys this chart too. And I know I'm talking fast, so just interrupt me.
Yeah, you're getting out a ton of amazing information, man.
Cool. So this is GBTC. If you guys don't know what GBTC is, and hopefully most of you do, but if you don't, Grayscale, they created a trust where they can list this ETF on the NASDAQ, right, on the stock market. What they do is they take money from institutional investors and they'll take that money, they'll use it to buy Bitcoin. They'll put that Bitcoin in a trust where it gets locked up for, you could say forever, but it gets locked up. And then they issue shares of stock in the GBTC trust to the institutional investors who gave them money. Those institutional investors have to hold it for 6 months, and then they can sell it on the open stock market. It was kind of like a backdoor way of getting the Bitcoin, being able to get exposure to Bitcoin on the stock market. So the thing is, all of these Bitcoins are held in trust by Grayscale, and they have a nominal value, right? I don't know how much they have. It's probably like 100,000 Bitcoin locked up in this trust. So the Bitcoin have a nominal spot value on the basis of like what Bitcoin trades for on Coinbase. But then you have the market cap of the actual Grayscale Bitcoin trust in terms of the price it trades for on the stock market. And there's a differential that happens there. Now, that's what this bottom chart is. It's a percentage. You can see that it goes, we've been almost 125% higher. So what happens is during bull markets, people on the stock market want exposure to Bitcoin, but without actually having to go buy it. So they'll buy this GBTC, And so it'll end up trading at a significant premium. It'll trade sometimes almost twice as much as the actual price of Bitcoin. But then what happened in 2021, notice that it was right around as the market was starting to peak, March, the premium went negative. So in other words, people on the stock market were not interested in gaining exposure to the price of Bitcoin. And this ETF started trading at a premium below the actual price of Bitcoin. So right now, effectively, GBTC is trading about 28% below the nominal price of the Bitcoin held in that trust. Now, this is, again, kind of destroying narratives. When people talk about all of the institutional FOMO is happening and this is a new paradigm. And this was last year, and I'm looking at this premium. I say, wow, why is this premium negative? Are you so there's institutional FOMO, but these guys don't want to get a 16% discount on the price of Bitcoin. They can just easily go pick up this stock and get exposure to the price of Bitcoin at a 16% discount. Why aren't they? That really kind of destroys the narrative of institutional FOMO. And this just keeps getting more and more negative. So it just means that people that have this coin, that have this shares in this trust, they keep selling. And the thing is, GBTC, the Grayscale Trust, they can't go in reverse. They can't actually pull coins out of that trust. If anyone is going to get an ETF that's actually spot Bitcoin, so the two ETFs that were approved in October, they're not spot Bitcoin, they're futures. They're based on the futures product of Bitcoin, right? The CME futures of Bitcoin. It's just an ETF based on the futures price. It's not actually based on the spot price of Bitcoin. If any ETF actually gets approved to be an ETF that is literally just one for one the spot price of Bitcoin, it'll probably be Grayscale. But until this premium starts to turn around, I'm going to have a hard time believing that we're going to be entering a bull market. So there's just so many things that I could show you guys. I think I've gone on for long enough for today. Maybe I'll show you
amazing amount of information though. What so is your background, I don't know if we talked about it, is your background in like trading and markets, or if this is just something that you got into with crypto?
It's something I just got into with crypto, but I do have an engineering background. So I graduated with an electrical engineering degree, and then I did flight tests for a few years, and then I went to work in a semiconductor factory where I was a process engineer. So I've got a little bit of stats background, a little bit of math background.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Do you think so? Like we said, the narrative of Bitcoin being digital gold or the store of value is kind of failing right now, right? It's not. It's just trending down with the rest of the market. Like you said, it's just acting like a tech stock. Do you think that might open people's eyes and get them to reassess what the true value of crypto is and open their eyes to this digital cash concept? Like, oh, it's not so much about digital gold and storing your value, but having something where you can send transactions without censorship, without people, seeing how much you're sending and who you're sending it to. Do you think that could kind of be a catalyst where they see crypto not really functioning so well as a store of value, but then realize what the real value proposition of crypto might be?
Yeah, I think that's happening right now in real time. I still hazard the cryptocurrency subreddit, and I see a lot of attitudes changing. Last year it was a very different place, but now I see a lot of people kind of looking inward, questioning, okay, well, what are we here for, and what's going on with this? And it's funny how pain occasionally can motivate you to reevaluate the way you look at things.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to do this, put this all together. I know it takes a lot of work, and you presented it very well.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. And honestly, it doesn't take too much work because this is what I look at every day. I'm just kind of showing you guys what the stuff that I look at. So.
Well, we greatly appreciate it. I don't know if you want to throw send us an address that we could post. People want to send you tips or something or whatever, but
absolutely not. Y'all, I very much appreciate it. I should be sending y'all a tip.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And
thank you for
once again, it was great meeting you
yeah.
In person too at Monerotopia. Hope that happens again.
Yeah, likewise. I'm sure we'll meet again
at the next one.
All right, buddy. So yeah, I guess we'll just move on to the last segment of the show. The viewers on stage. If there's anybody that wants to jump up, I don't know.
We have a few in the back.
If Bawdy can stick around a little bit, people could ask some questions.
Yeah, I'll be here all day.
Or any other topics. Let's move on to the viewers on stage.
Come on down.
Come down.
It's the viewers on stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down. I can never get sick of it. Don't make fun of me, rude. Hello. We have Bawdy. We have individual A, and I put the link in the chat for those that want to join. Hello, individual A.
I like his logo there. Love all, trust few,
respect privacy.
Respect privacy. Individual A.
Yeah, hi there. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Not over there.
Yeah, there was a lot of information, great charts, great talk from Bawdy. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries,
Awesome.
man. I love your logo there.
I was on the show a few shows ago, I think like 3 weeks ago or something, and I had that one in Portuguese, and I have a few other languages as well. And I thought maybe this time I put it up in English so people can read it actually.
I love it. Are people selling that one as a sticker? I don't think I've seen that.
Nah, I just put it together on GIMP, just out of fun.
It's good. It says a lot. It says a lot in a short amount of space.
I was thinking of putting it on a T-shirt for the Monero Con in Lisboa.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will do that, but that was an idea.
Yeah. So you're located in Portugal?
No, I'm a European, yes, but not in Portugal.
But you'll be at Monero Con. So what's going on, man? Tell us some more. Did we get your Monero story last time you were on?
I'm not sure, and I may or may not have some Monero, just like you.
Well, I guess let us know in a general sense. You don't have to give us details, but like kind of what led you to Monero, or have you always been a Monero person? Was it
not always, but I came to it after I started my journey into crypto universe. I came to Monero quite quickly because of the privacy and everything. And it is for me, it's the only true digital cash, actually, for all the points that you make in your talks and everything. So this will be my first conference in Portugal, and I'm looking forward to it, to meet some guys actually, and yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're very excited. Unfortunately, we'll probably only swoop in for the weekend.
I'm just gonna say hi, bye.
I see somebody I have a general question regarding gratuitous. Is the tipping address that of a general fund from where tips are dispatched among workers, or are they individual? No, it goes to a general address, and then it's sent out in a batch payment to all the 20 individual addresses, or it's actually a little less than 20. It's like, I don't know, whatever, like 15 or something, 15. Yeah, and we want to go. Well, we did go back down there, but we want to go down again and hook up more of the people that work on the coffee plantation. We hooked up all the regular workers, the ones that are kind of there year round. But what we want to start doing moving forward is each season with each new batch of coffee, hooking up those that go out and actually pick the beans. So they just kind of come in just for that purpose during the harvest. We missed it this year because of COVID and a couple other things, so we didn't get there until after the harvest. So that's unfortunate. But hopefully next year we'll be able to pull that off. So we'll show up, I don't know, whatever, in the fall or something.
Fall.
And then we would hook up these like 100+ temporary workers that come in just for the harvest. And then when you send your tip, it wouldn't just go to the 20 regulars, but then it would go to the additional 100. And obviously we want to do that so we continue to spread it to more and more people. But good question. I saw somebody else said gratuitous. They're running out. They need to order more. Yeah, by all means, please do. We roast the beans fresh now. So we have somebody stateside who's receiving the beans for us from Guatemala in green form and then roasting them. I don't know anybody who's at Monerotopia saw that we had the roaster there.
That was a cool little
He's
station.
a friend we met along the way who's very much into Monero, is helping out with gratuitous, and who also happens to like work in the coffee industry a little bit. So he's our roaster, and he individually roasts it for us and then sends out the coffee. So we're just trying to slowly improve that project. We may go to India in January and try to add, another farm.
As a family trip, everyone. Family trip.
We may try to add like tea producers.
Doug will always make it into a Monero session.
So we're slow. Yeah, obviously we're spread thin, but slowly trying to grow that project. Get other people to help us work on that, so we can slowly grow it. But the coffee thing is great because we can slowly grow, because as just people order, we ship it. I saw another good question up top. Somebody had asked some. Oh, they're saying bring up P2 pool. Yeah, so yeah, we should, guys, use P2 pool. Don't use any of the other, mining pools. We don't want to give them too much power. P2 pool was invented for the purposes of making sure that's no longer an issue, and there's really no reason not to use it. I guess especially now with the new GUI and client, my understanding is P2 pool is built right into it. It should be easier than ever to get it up and running. So somebody pointed that out, because I think one of the other pools is starting to gain a lot of a percentage of the mining network again. So yeah, that's a good point. P2 pool, everybody use it.
We have another guest here, Red Rothbard.
Red Rothbard, what's going on, man?
Hello, thank you for joining us and jumping on stage. Silence. Well, okay, he ran away. Oh, he's back. Or he, she, I don't know, whoever, the person. Thank you for joining us. If you want to say hello or not, or just hang out with us.
Red Rothbard, what do you got?
I don't know, Woody. Hello. Okay. Well, I don't know. Your mic isn't working.
He made some good points in the chat before.
Yeah.
About, buying gold and silver with Monero, and for the Haveno DEX to put it on there.
Oh, Haveno DEX to put like a gold silver trade.
Yeah, he has
option?
a comment here. Bitcoin isn't digital gold. Gold is gold, and Monero is digital silver.
Sure, that's yeah. Well, you wanna jump on, Rothbard? Tell us more about that.
Well, they're on, but I don't know.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's just muted.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. What do you guys think? Individual A, what do you think about that? So this idea that, crypto can never really truly replace, hard metals.
I think one of the main ideas behind it is to develop the economy around Monero, right? Because we need Monero to be actually a currency and not an asset to hodl, but actually it has to function as money, and therefore we need to have markets where we can use it, right? So I think this is one of the points that Red had. What do you think? I know I sing Doug's song here because he's always talking about it. So,
yeah, obviously, I think we need to just focus on building a Monero circular economy, and then Monero's price will go up as more people join the network, and then over time it could essentially become a better and better store of value. I mean, those in the Bitcoin community say otherwise, right? Like store of value first, and then figure out how to make it a transactional currency. I think Monero is organically taking the other approach, where it's just being used for something, and then maybe over time it acquires the additional use of being a store of value, which I think we're already seeing. Yeah, that's my take. But yeah, I think the best thing we can do is, rather than be out there saying, "Oh, Monero's digital gold," is use Monero as digital cash. Can it also be digital gold? Sure. If anything is going to be digital gold, Monero has characteristic that makes it just as good as anything else, if not better than things like Bitcoin. But you don't even have to think about that. Most importantly, it's amazing for its purposes of digital cash.
And gold was once cash, so this is where it is, where the connection is, right? So Monero is the digital form of it. It's scarce enough. It has a small tail emission, which is very important in my idea, in my conviction. And yeah, we need the markets. We need goods to like in the coffee, you know. We need the things to buy with Monero, and then Monero will grow.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to see more and more action in that area. So we have Monerica, obviously, which is cool. They've created a nice database of everybody that's like willing to accept Monero. And I'm hearing lots of little pitter putter of other people working on projects. So it's nice to see. I always say anybody that's interested, come into the Monerotopia Telegram group. I'm trying to make that, you know, one of the focuses of things that's discussed there. But yeah, if you're sitting there and you're wondering what to do, what could I do to help Monero, how do we take this to the next level, just be the change you want to see. So get out there and just start using Monero. So try to convince that pizza place that you go to and get your pizza every week. Start by trying to give them a tip when you get your pizza. Eventually try to convince them to accept Monero for your. I've done that over here. I know it could be done. Try to convince people in your daily life to essentially accept Monero for the things you need. And as I've said over and over again, you'd be surprised where we're currently at. You'll find that people are open to doing that. Everybody's heard about crypto at this point. They know there's a chance it could go up in value. For whatever reason, they're interested now. They're open to it. They know it's not like some scam. And so you'd be surprised you can convince people to accept crypto. So it's just an easy thing to do to get the Monero circular economy going. Even if you don't want to like start selling something on your own, just start using Monero and convincing people to accept it. Tips is the easiest because that's a no-brainer. It's like money you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You're just saying, could you please let me give you a gift of crypto? So, I mean, it's hard for somebody to say no. And then the next level is getting them to actually accept it for the products and services they're selling.
All right. Yeah,
does he want to give it another shot?
Bard. Yeah, his phone died.
Sorry, guys. Are you there?
No worries.
Hey, no worries.
I just wanted to kind of plug a post I made in Haveno DEX. Urge them to accept gold and silver as accepted currency for their cash in-person purchases. And
very cool. What kind of responses were you getting to that?
Well, I was in the what server, not Discord, the other one, Element. For whatever reason, I got kicked out, even though I didn't really say anything offensive ever. But
you got kicked out of the Haveno room or something?
Yeah, he didn't seem too open to the idea. Said it'd be a pretty trivial change, but it seems like a good idea because if you're in Ukraine, for instance, and your currency suddenly collapses, well, almost everyone has jewelry. You could still sell your jewelry, walk across a border as a refugee with Monero hidden on you in your head or on your person without worrying about getting robbed. Or if your government's becoming totalitarian, you can get into Monero with your jewelry, or if your currency collapses. And then the other thing is it would bring liquidity to gold itself so that you could transfer 2 tons of gold anywhere in the world in under 20 minutes. And I think it would benefit each monetary network, I guess. So Bitcoin could no longer say they're digital gold because Monero could create a marketplace and a clearinghouse for transferring gold securely, privately, and instantly. Or you could just take a 1 ounce gold coin or 20 ounces of silver, do a local meetup with someone and purchase Monero. And another huge advantage is as these central banksters are introducing CBDCs and eliminating physical cash, well, there's no way they can eliminate physical precious metals. So it creates a permanent on and off ramp for laundering Monero into anything that they come up with, because CBDCs are obviously going to have to accept or be used for buying and selling and trading gold and silver. So it's like a backdoor, and it is a currency. It's weird that they would list all these fiat trash currencies, but not actual money. So I'd like to encourage everyone to go to GitHub and find the suggestion for adding gold and silver as accepted currencies for Haveno, and leave a comment in support if you're so inclined.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, keep the convo going, get more people talking about it and asking for it. Does local Monero have that option, or local Bitcoin even? Is that something that people are doing?
That would have been my question too, and that would be the idea, right?
I don't think anyone's thought of doing this, although it seems pretty obvious to me. There's also a product called gold backs, which are basically plastic laminated gold bills.
Yeah,
it's like
you have some of those.
It's like the size of a dollar bill, but it's actual, like I think maybe vapor deposited gold into plastic laminate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a spendable bill of actual gold in denominations of 1/1000th of a troy ounce of gold per bill. So it's like a dozen eggs or a loaf of bread per bill. So if they listed gold, silver, and gold backs, a place like New Hampshire would have a huge amount of utility with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could, like I said, you could gain access to that entire market. All the gold bugs would have a way of basically having a settlement, or Monero and gold could kind of be like settlement layers for each other and kind of have a net positive relationship. And we could totally take that digital gold narrative away from Bitcoin by creating that market.
Yeah, no, I love it. Do you ever go to PorcFest?
I went last time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were there too. I wonder if we met.
I was wearing the Monero sweater.
Oh shit!
One of the crypto bear wears.
Okay.
I think we did. I think we met.
Oh yeah. Well, are you gonna be there this year? We'll be there this year. We're gonna have more of a presence. So yeah, please, if you're gonna be there, come hang out with us.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, no, but I love I love these concepts. I don't really know why aren't we seeing that being done on local Bitcoin? It seems like the people that would be kind of early adopters to local Monero and local Bitcoin would be very open to these things. I guess there's just not as much demand. I don't know.
I didn't even think to approach them, but I'll hit them up on Twitter and tell them the idea. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Very cool. Bawdy, I see you're cutting in, cut out. Anything you want to mention with what's being discussed?
Hey, you guys had me on my my laptop, on my microphone. Anyways, yeah, the gold silver thing. I guess sometimes it's better not to make like just the straight analogy and say, well, which factors, like which aspects are comparable, right? There's a lot of aspects that are comparable from Monero and between Monero and precious metals, and then maybe in some other ways there's not. I see one thing I've seen a lot in cryptocurrency is kind of like these battles of narratives, and sometimes the criteria are ill-defined. But yeah, I guess that's really my only thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing too, just maybe there's all these gold stores, buying, selling, cash for gold and things like that. I mean, those would be perfect places to become, Monero hubs. Obviously, you have legal issues with that, needing, potentially needing money transmitter licenses and things like that. But I don't know, it's just such a shame, like that every, gold or gold for cash business in New York isn't also, selling Monero or accepting Monero for cash. That it seems like the perfect place for that individual. Good.
I heard someone say on a podcast yesterday. They said, "Well, I think someone said, well, which would you rather have, gold or Monero?" I think actually it was Monero Talk. Maybe I was listening to that, and they were saying that it's important that you have both, because right now we're looking at the potential of a cyber attack or a false flag cyber attack. Could be Russia, could be the deep state, who knows. But there could be periods of time where cryptocurrency doesn't function that well if we have some kind of broad level cyber attack, in which case, you do want a hard asset. You do want to have some gold and silver physically on you. And maybe even some US dollars cash might be useful in that kind of situation too.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Rothbard, what do you think? Any other comments?
Maybe not.
Just phone dad again. All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up.
2 hours.
I gotta go. My daughter's texting me right now. She'll be here any minute. And yeah, we'll call it quits for today. Thank you so much. I thought this was an amazing show. Bawdy, thank you so much, man, for that deep analysis. Thanks Individual A and Rothbard for jumping on. Please jump on anytime. Rothbard, will definitely see you at Porkfest. Come hang out with us. And that's
just make sure to join our Telegram group if you haven't.
Yeah, Monerotopia on Telegram. Just keep the convos going there. You can also talk about Porkfest if you want to come hang out at Porkfest. And thank you so much, guys. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
All right,
Ciao.
see you next week. Adios, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.